Hey everybody, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We're constantly updating it with new content and never seen before content. So if you want to get the latest from Harvest, hit the subscribe button.
The devil is really at work in the tribulation period. And, he's trying to wreak as much havoc as he can. Why? Because he knows his days are numbered. Some people, if they know their days are numbered, if they've been told by a doctor, you have a month to live, they're going to get their house in order. They're going to try to get things resolved. If they had conflicts, they'll forgive people. They'll try to make peace with people. The devil's just the opposite. He's so evil, knowing his days are numbered. He wants to do as much damage as he can until Christ comes back. Revelation 12:12 says the devil has gone down to you. He's filled with fury. Why? Because he knows his time is short. See, believe it or not, Satan believes the Bible. He knows it's true. And he knows his days are numbered, so he is just mad as a hornet and wants to create so much misery for so many people. So this is what we're looking at now. And at this point in the tribulation, God is basically giving to mankind what he has always longed for, pure evil. Every time you turn around, people are pushing the boundaries. We don't like this definition of the family. We want to redefine it. We don't like this rule. We don't like this law. We don't like these restraints. We want to do what we want to do, with whom we want to do it, when we want to do it. Finally, God says, okay, go for it, man. The restraints are gone. The restraining force in the world, the church, the followers of Christ, will no longer be there stopping it or speaking out against it. All hell is literally going to break loose. Reminds us a little bit of the time of Pharaoh in Egypt. You remember that? Moses demanded the release of the Jews, and the Pharaoh basically said, no way. And so a series of plagues came. And each one of these plagues that God brought upon Egypt was leveled against one of the gods of Egypt. See, the Egyptians worshiped so many gods. They worshiped the sky. They worshiped the Nile River. They worshiped frogs. They worshiped all kinds of things. So God says, okay, you like to worship frogs? Here you go. A plague of frogs, more gods than you can shake a stick at. Frogs on the floor, frogs in the bed, frogs in the oven, frogs in the bath, everywhere. So the Lord here effectively in Revelation is saying, you want it, you got it. I'm going to let you get what you've always longed for. C.S. Lewis made this statement, and I quote, there are only two kinds of people in the end. Those who say to God, thy will be done, and those to whom God says in the end, thy will be done. All that are in hell choose it. Without that self-choice, there would be no hell. End quote. So God's effectively saying to humanity, all right, is this what you want? Thy will be done. I'm giving it to you. So now we see God allowing Satan to have his heyday. Let's look at Revelation 9, starting in verse 1. Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like the smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit, and out of the smoke locusts came on the earth, and to them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were commanded to not harm the grass of the earth or any green thing or any tree, but only those men who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man in those days when they will seek death and not find it. They'll desire to die, and death will flee from them. The shape of the locust was like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were crowns of something like gold. And on their faces, they were like the faces of men. They had hair like women's hair. Their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had breastplates like breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was like the sound of chariots and many horses running into battle. They had tails like scorpions, and they were like stingers in their tails. And they had power to hurt men 5 months. And they had as a king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is Hebrew is Abaddon. But in Greek, is the name Apollyon. Okay, we'll stop there. Now, we've all heard stories of great singers and actors who were at the top of their profession. And then as they had a measure of success, they started using drugs or drinking heavily, and so many of them die of drug overdoses or some other incident related to it. And so we'll refer to that person maybe as a fallen star. Well, here we have a different kind of fallen star. It's Lucifer. Satan is a fallen angel or a star because in Revelation, the word star is used to describe angels. He's a star who fell from his position of influence. In Isaiah 14:12, the scripture says, how you are fallen from heaven, O shining star, son of the morning. You've been thrown to the earth. You've destroyed the nations of the world. In Ezekiel, the devil is described as being the model of perfection until wickedness was found in him and he lost his exalted position. So remember, the devil wasn't always the devil as we know him now. And this addresses the question, why would a God of love create someone as wicked as the devil? Answer, the God of love did not create the devil as we know him. God created a beautiful, magnificent, powerful angel known as Lucifer, which means son of the morning. He had access to the throne of God. He seemed to be on a high level up there, maybe even with a Michael and a Gabriel, but Lucifer exercised his free will and he rebelled against God. So Lucifer becomes Satan when he rebelled against God. Now look at this. God gives to Satan the key of the abyss or the bottomless pit in verse 1. What is the bottomless pit? It's a prison somewhere in the underworld where the demons are kept. The Bible speaks of angels who rebelled, who are imprisoned. And by the way, a demon is a fallen angel. Jude 1:6 says, I want to remind you of the angels that did not stay within the limits of authority. God gave them over to the place, and that's where they've been kept securely chained in the prisons of darkness, waiting for the great day of judgment. So they're in some place in the underworld called the bottomless pit. Remember that story of the demon-possessed man who was bound in chains, and Jesus asked the demons to identify themselves, and they said, Legion, for we are many. And then Jesus cast the demons, remember, into the pigs, and the pigs committed mass suicide. Remember that story? But do you remember what the demons said before they were cast into the pigs? They said to Jesus, don't send us to the bottomless pit. Not all demons are there now, but some are. So this, being described here in Revelation, is the pit that is being opened up. Let me illustrate. Imagine if every prison on the face of the earth, including prisons that held terrorists, were opened up and all the prisoners were released from custody. And then imagine if all of them were deputized and armed to the teeth to harm people. Would that be a bad thing? Yes, it would. And so this is what's happening on a larger scale as these demons are being released, sort of a glimpse of hell. And out of this pit come these hellish creatures. Verse 3, they're called locusts. But I want you to notice, go back over those verses, notice how many times the word like is used. They were like this, they were like that. It's not like a teenager speaking, where they say, I'm all like, and he's all like, and she's all like. Not like that. It's more like, well, John in first century language is trying to describe what he's seeing. Well, it kind of sounds like a chariot, and the hair looks sort of like the hair of a woman, and it's like this, and it's like that. So he can't totally put into words what he's seeing. So he's saying, so Greg, are there going to be all these like freaky kind of creatures like attacking the earth? No, not at all. They're not like insect creatures. Here's what they are. These are supernatural soldiers from the kingdom of darkness. This is an invasion of demons in the last days that are very aggressive. The symbolic descriptions that John used are there to describe aggression and force, as well as power, intelligence, and ferocity. And they have a leader. He's called Apollyon or Abaddon. Abaddon. And by the way, he is one bad dude. It's pretty close. Abaddon. A bad dude. He's a destroyer. And this may be a reference to Satan himself, or it may be a reference to a high-ranking demon under the command of Satan. You see, just as God has his supernatural army of angels with Michael pretty much at the top of the heap because he's the archangel, and there's Gabriel, so the devil has his rank and file angels. So a bad-un, or a bad dude, if you will, or Apollyon, is either a description of Satan himself or a high-ranking demon under his command. So Satan is whipping up this frenzy, and all restraints are lifted, and you see how bad it can actually get during the tribulation period. Now, here's some points that we want to take away from this. Number one, about these demons. They are real and aggressive. They're real and aggressive. Not are all confined to the abyss. They roam freely in their search and destroy mission. You might say they're looking for trouble. And by the way, the devil is always looking for trouble. Remember the book of Job, when the angels of the Lord came to present themselves before God, and Satan was among them. And so the devil, or God says to Satan, so where have you come from? Devil says, just going back and forth across the earth, watching everything that's going on. That's pretty much the devil. He's just checking things out. Just really creepy. Where can I make trouble? Could I exploit this? Could I take advantage of that? He's always looking for something to wreak havoc with. The Bible describes him as a lion seeking a prey. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be careful, watch out for the attacks from the devil, your great enemy. He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for some victim to devour. And by the way, I'm not saying this to freak you out, but to inform you to keep up your spiritual guard. C.S. Lewis, in his excellent book, The Screw Tape Letters, which basically is a work of fiction that Lewis wrote, trying to almost get into the head of a demon, if you will, and sort of their strategies and tactics and undermining Christians. And so he has these characters in this book, and he has this statement in it. And he says, and I quote, there are two equal and opposite errors into which our race can fall about the devil and demons. One is to disbelieve in their existence. The other is to believe and to feel an excessive and unhealthy interest in them. They themselves are equally pleased by both errors and hail a materialist or a magician with the same delight, end quote. And so the basic idea Lewis is saying, some people say, there are no demons. It's all a bunch of baloney. And other people are like, they want to know everything about demons and talk about demons. And no. Lewis says these are both extremes that we must avoid. We need to be educated. But I don't want to sit around all day and talk about what the devil is doing. I want to talk about what Jesus Christ is doing. And the only reason I bring these things up is to show you how to overcome the devil. Which brings me to point number 2. Though powerful, demons have clear limitations. Let me tell you something Satan does not want you to know. Would you like to know what Satan does not want you to know? Well, would you? Okay, here it is. These people over here seem to want to know more than you do. I don't know why that is. Here it is. His power, though considerable, is still limited. He would like you to think that he can do anything that God can do. Sort of the idea that there's God and the devil. They're like the yin and the yang. Both are just as powerful, or the dark side of the force, Luke. That's not what it is at all. Let's think biblically now. No one is equal to God. God is all powerful. God is all knowing. There's no one that is equal to God. The devil is powerful, though not nearly God's equal, and his power is clearly limited. Okay, so understanding that, we know that the devil can tempt us. He can harass us. He can hassle us. But if you're a Christian, you come under divine protection. You're protected by God. Now, if you're not a Christian, you have no divine protection. If you're not a Christian, you have no way to effectively resist the devil. But if you're a believer, God will never give you more than you can handle, but will, with the temptation, make a way of escape that you may be able to bear it. This is illustrated in the story of Jesus talking to Peter one day. And he said, hey, Simon, Satan has been asking excessively that you would be taken out of the care and protection of God. Would that freak you out if Jesus said that to you? Here's hanging around with Jesus, great day, sun's out. Hey, by the way, Greg, yes, Lord, yes. The devil's been asking for you by name. What? Yeah. He's been asking for you by name. Well, what does he want? He's been asking that you would be taken out of the care and protection of God. But then Jesus adds this, but I've prayed for you that your faith will not fail. Okay. You know, yeah, but I'm in your corner. I'm there for you, so don't worry. So when the devil comes knocking, I always like to ask Jesus to answer the door. Right? But apparently Peter was such a big fish, or fisherman, if you will. The devil had set his sights on him and said, I want him. So he was going to God saying, I want him. Jesus says, no, he belongs to me. See, so the devil comes in, I want you. I want you. Jesus says, that one belongs to me. So you see, you're under divine protection. Now that doesn't mean the Lord will not allow you to be tempted. That doesn't mean the Lord will not allow the enemy to hassle you, but you'll never have more, as I said already, than you can handle.